Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. And for some reason, the gray in my beard is more noticeable than normal. So I guess I have to officially say that I am getting old now that you can visibly, from a distance, see the gray in my beard. But anyway, on to today's video. We're going to be previewing a little bit the NFL games coming up this weekend. There's 2 today and 2 tomorrow, an AFC and NFC game today, and the AFC NFC game tomorrow. Any thoughts on the NFL playoffs, please feel free to let me know. And any thoughts on whether or not you think Mike McCarthy will get fired as the Dallas Cowboys head coach, please feel free to let me know. I don't totally understand why he's on the hot seat. I know he said some questionable things after they got beat last week, and the most notable thing he said was he came out and said that he didn't think the Cowboys were ready. Well, you're the coach. If they're not ready, that 100% completely falls on your shoulders. But if you look at where they were with Jason Garrett compared to now, they've improved. They're still not winning in the playoffs. Yes, I get that. But when Jason Garrett was there, they were pretty much 8-8 almost every single season. I mean, Jason Garrett, he was the banner child for mediocrity. They were 8-8 almost every year, and they might go 9-7 on occasion. So is 8-8 better, or is 12-5 better? So yes, they have improved in the regular season, but they still can't win in the playoffs. But they do have way more talent now than they've had in a long time, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And I feel like they're stuck because if you look at the contract that Dak has and the contract that Ezekiel Elliott has, that's almost half their payroll right there with those two guys. And Tony Pollard is a better running back than Ezekiel Elliott. For some reason, ever since Zeke got hurt a couple of years ago, he's never been the same running back. I think there's an out clause with his contract after next season. But with Dak, you're stuck with Dak through 2025, I believe. And just those two guys are pretty much half their salary cap. So there's not a whole lot they can do right now. But the only thing about Mike McCarthy is, if you watch him on the sidelines, he always looks clueless. Now, I know he's the head coach. He doesn't make calls. But he wears a headset. He always knows what the play call is on offense and defense. But if you look at him on the sidelines after every play, whether offense or defense, he always has this look on his face like, why do we do that? Why are we doing that? What are we doing? Like he doesn't know what's going on. But they have improved, but there's a lot of rumor going around that he is going to get fired sometime here in the next couple of weeks. I don't think he will, but we'll have to sit back, wait, and find out. But on to today's games. 4:30, we have the Bengals and the Titans. Supposedly, the Titans are going to play Derrick Henry, but he's only going to be allowed so many touches because they want to make sure he is healthy. And that way, if he is healthy and they win, they can depend on him more next weekend. And of course, the Bengals have a really good offense. This should be a really good game, and I'm actually glad it's the first game of playoff weekend because it should get everybody in a playoff mood. I'm looking forward to that game. And then tonight at 8:15, we have the 49ers and the Packers. The only thing you can say about that game is, can the Packers be as good as they were in the regular season? Because it seems like the past 2 or 3 years, they've been towards the top, if not the top, of the NFL in the regular season as far as records and all that. And then they go to the playoffs and they fizzle out. And this year they had the best record in the NFL in the regular season. But eventually you've got to translate the regular season to the playoffs. And so far the Packers just have not been able to do that. Now, Jimmy G tried his best to fall apart last week against the Cowboys and give the Cowboys the game. But luckily the 49ers hung on. So we'll find out tonight if the Packers can translate all their greatness from the regular season into the playoffs, or if they're going to have another year of being great in the regular season and going to the playoffs and fizzling out. And then tomorrow at 3 o'clock we have the Rams and the Bucks. On paper, the Rams have the better team, but we all know that having the better team on paper doesn't mean anything. But clearly on paper, the Rams have the better team. But of course, most people think Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. So anytime you have Tom Brady, you always have the advantage. But the Rams, still from top to bottom, are clearly the better team. So with or without Tom Brady, the Bucks should not win this game. But like I said, we know that having a better team on paper does not always mean anything. And then the final game of playoff weekend is tomorrow night at 6:30, the Bills and the Chiefs. Now, of course, if you recall a couple of years back when Patrick Mahomes first broke in the league, everybody was, already comparing him to some of the all-time greats and saying that he was so young and the Chiefs were so good, he was going to break Tom Brady's record, he was going to win 8 or 9 Super Bowls, and now all of a sudden here we are a couple of years later and they still just have the one. And they're actually favored in this game, but they're only favored because they're the home team. They're only favored by, I think, a point or a point and a half, which basically means it was a neutral site game. Buffalo probably be favored. So all of a sudden, all those rings that Patrick Mahomes was going to win don't look like they're going to come to fruition. Does Patrick Mahomes have talent? Absolutely. But the one thing that's always held Patrick Mahomes back is he depended too much on talent and not enough on common sense. There was way too many times he would throw the ball downfield into a receiver that's double covered or triple covered just because he thinks, I'm Patrick Mahomes, I can complete that ball, when there's a receiver 5 yards in front of him that's wide open. And when he figures that out, he'll be even better. But there's no doubt Patrick Mahomes has talent. And Josh Allen also has talent. The one thing that is holding Josh Allen back, in my opinion, is Josh Allen is way too inconsistent. He'll have 400 passing yards one week and 120 the next week. And anything that's more than 20 yards downfield, he just can't complete. I've seen him way too many times have receivers down the field wide open, and he just either overthrows them or underthrows them. He just cannot throw the ball downfield. But if he can ever get the downfield throw down pat and be more consistent, Josh Allen has the potential to be the best young quarterback in the NFL and overtake Patrick Mahomes. That is for the next year or two, because I think eventually Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert are both going to be better than Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. That's just my personal opinion, but I think Joe Burrow is going to be a great quarterback. He just has that moxie. He just has that it factor, as they say. But the Chiefs definitely need this win, because if they don't get this win, then I think a lot of people are going to start being disappointed with not only Patrick Mahomes, but the Chiefs in general, because they won that Super Bowl and it looked like they were poised to be a great team for the next decade and overtake the Patriots and being the best team in the NFL, and they're just not. So they definitely not only need this win, but they also need to win next weekend and go to the Super Bowl just to make some people happy. But we'll wait and see what happens. It did look like towards the second half of the season, Patrick Mahomes did start going to the check down more, and he quit throwing the ball so much in double coverage just because he's Patrick Mahomes. So we'll see if he's able to do that coming up tomorrow night. But 2 games today, 2 games tomorrow. Enjoy the NFL playoff weekend. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. What do you get when you cross a cactus and a pig? A porcupine. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them.